gentlemen, welcome once again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, in case you were wondering. Because you could have been just sitting back and like, who's this Yahoo? Well, if you're tuning in to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, there's a very good chance that the person you're going to be staring at for the next hour or so just might be the man who, or individual, whose name is on the show. There's a fairly good chance of that. It's kind of good. Thank you all for tuning in, whether it be currently live on stream or later on at your own convenience over at youtube.com. Let's start with the big news. The biggest news. Like, it's not even like tiny wee news. This is huge news. Folks, the days of having a tiny URL are behind us. Folks, I have officially graduated into owning an official youtube.com/address. That's right. No more messy youtube.com/jumble of letters, sort of like an alphabets or URL type thing. No, we're done now. youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. That is huge news. And it's huge news. It's huge news because I was able to get this. I finally hit this. It's a milestone, really, because we've reached 100 subscribers over on the YouTube channel. So I bow down to all of you who have decided to click the subscribe button and make it possible. So thank you all very, very much. Now, tinyurl.com, and then not tinyurl.com. God damn it, Warren. YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. It's the new home. It's the brand new home. I'm really happy. Of course, if you have tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, that still works. It'll work forever. But as it stands, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, much sexier, much more professional. Doesn't seem like a rinky-tink outfit anymore, doesn't it? Thanks to everyone in chat joining us. Shout out to Joe Cook. Joe Cook. And GPQ 16 who are in the chat. And no, that's not Wilfred from the Wilfred Watches podcast. That's not his head here. That's Sean Ross Sapp from the Fightful, some managing editor of Fightful.com, who does the podcasts, so on and so forth. But hey, speaking of Wilfred Watches, tomorrow evening is, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on Monday or on tomorrow being Tuesday, SmackDown Live. Another exciting 2 hours of WWE programming. At least we just kind of cross your fingers and hope and pray. I'm going to do a little something special. I don't usually have guests when I do the post SmackDown recap, but I'm going to have a guest tomorrow, and it will be Wilfred from the Wilfred Watches podcast. Now, what's interesting here is that Wilfred doesn't watch WWE. He's a big New Japan guy. He's a big British wrestling guy. I watch some of those, not as much as he does. I watch a fair amount of New Japan, British wrestling here and there. Wilfred loves everything that's non-WWE. But was chatting with him this week, and I put him to the test. I said, why don't you jump in and just watch one episode of SmackDown? You go in blind. Don't go watching what's been happening previously. Go in blind, then come join me on my show, and we'll talk about what you're looking at. And he accepted because he's a bit of a sucker. But no, I'm actually really glad that he did. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see someone talk about SmackDown, have thoughts about SmackDown without knowing what's going on, what the storylines are. Like I said, what he gleans on Twitter, of course, because everyone talks about WWE on SmackDown on Twitter, so you kind of know what's going on. But yeah, it's going to be something cool tomorrow evening, post SmackDown show with my boy Wilfred. Should be a good time. Then on Tuesday, no, not on Tuesday. Then I'm gonna talk about my 205 Live NXT 205 Live NXT recap show that I usually do over on FightfulSelect.com. I'm still doing it on FightfulSelect.com. If you don't know what FightfulSelect.com is, I'll tell you in a minute. But if you are familiar, this is important, folks. I usually do them on Wednesdays. Ooh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Something in my nose. Yeah, so basically, if you're watching... if you usually watch me over on FightfulSelect.com, please take a note. Please make sure that you write this down in your calendar. My 205 Live NXT recap show will be postponed. Instead of doing it on Wednesday, I'll be doing it on Thursday. So that's going to be bumped up a day, bumped later in the week, Wednesday to Thursday. So don't be disappointed. Don't be surprised. Don't be shocked if you show up on FightfulSelect.com and I'm not there. It's not much of a problem. I will be there on Thursday. So if you're sitting around wondering what the hell FightfulSelect.com is, well, don't you fret, folks. Don't you fret. Fightful Select is the premium service, subscription service of Fightful.com. Premier news, combat news, sports... Combat Sports News. Combat Sports News website. You get your wrestling, MMA, boxing. You can get all your wrestling only news if you head on over to FightfulWrestling.com. You get all your news there. And then on top of that, over at FightfulSelect.com, if you subscribe, you get a whole bunch of extra members only content. Huge amounts of podcasts. You get Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor, right here, that's his face right here. He does the Weekender podcast, which is essentially a podcast where he recaps the week in non-WWE programming. He talks about Lucha Underground, Impact, NWA, what's another one? Ring of Honor. He goes over all of those, being the elite, 10 pounds of gold. He talks about injuries, covers some news, talks about a whole bunch of stuff. Get retro pay-per-views, retro pay-per-view reviews. This is a great evening we're having so far. So yeah, retro pay-per-view reviews. I do those with Sean. We do them every month. Got a couple in the can that are coming up. We've got Sean does Q&A sessions. There's dark match commentary. Go take a look at it. Starts at $5 a month. 5 lowly, sad dollars. Your dollars right now are depressed because they're so sad. They're all limp and crumbly. They're saying to themselves, why don't I have a purpose in life? Why am I here? Well, it's very simple. You could tell your $5, look, it's very simple. Your purpose is to go over to FightfulSelect.com and give me a monthly, 1 month membership. Then after that, you add another $5 on top of that, and all your dollars start becoming friendly. They get to know each other. They grow. They become a family. And then in the meantime, you enjoy all sorts of great wrestling content over at Fightful.com. Go check it out. FightfulSelect.com. Because I do the weekly 205 Live NXT post shows over there. I do them live for FightfulSelect.com members. So go check it out. If you're in the chat right now, you know what would be swell? You know what would be awesome? Is if you tweeted the link out to this video. You just sent it over on your Twitter, on your Facebook. Where else could you send it? Wherever else. You think MySpace. You could open up your good old Netscape Navigator. could head over to your favorite AOL chat room. You could drop that in there. Share the link. I'd appreciate it. Give it a thumbs up as well. YouTube likes that kind of stuff. You know what else? You know what else? What YouTube really likes? YouTube really likes bold predictions. That's right. Well, I don't know how much YouTube likes them, but I like them. Bold predictions every time there is a main roster weekly show, such as Raw, such as SmackDown. I go on Twitter and I ask my timeline to feed me their boldest predictions for the evening. Let's go right ahead and check those out right now. Bold predictions. Bold predictions. Here they come. Bold predictions. First, we're going to start with Graham, who says, Vince comes out, chats the crowd about Crown Jewel blackout. Crown Jewel, blackout of the lights. And John Cena and Braun Strowman pop onto the screen with the blood money and burn it while spelling out Crown Jewel. That's very bold. That's as bold a prediction as that's a bold prediction right there. It's so awkward because I kind of have to look at myself in the monitor and then, this doesn't feel natural. But bold prediction. Next we have Joshua, who joins us quite frequently on the bold predictions. Joshua says Seth Rollins picks Toru Yano as his new tag partner. You kidding me? Now, if that isn't a tag team that you can't get behind, Seth Rollins and Toru Yano, I don't know if you check your pulse if you're really a wrestling fan. That's a team I could get behind. Bold prediction. Thank you, Joshua. Chris Turner says John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. Loser goes to Saudi Arabia. I like that. It's the punishment. You get to go to the show no one else wants to go to. Not no one else, but these two don't want to go to. That's bold. I like it. A lot of people have Crown Jewel on the mind tonight, with reason. Crash Idol, good old Jacob. Another frequent bold predictioneer. That's how I should call everyone. Bold predictioneers, like a musketeer. Bold predictioneers. Seth and Dean are sent to counseling. They make up and become best friends again. That's how Raw does things, right? Oh, I like that kind of irony. I like that. Especially, I don't know if you've been watching me for long, Crash, but I had some very strong opinions about Sasha and Bayley back then. And those are our bold predictions. Just a few tonight. Few good ones that ended up in the list of bold predictions. If you want to have your tweet appear on bold predictions, well, then tune in tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow for SmackDown. And give us your bold predictions. Make sure you head out on Twitter. Twitter's amazing. I love me Twitter. All right. You know what else I love me? Monday Night Raw. Let's start this one off. Opens up with the video package recapping once again Roman Reigns' announcement where he announces his battle with leukemia. What can you say at this point about this video package? We've seen it a couple of times. It is so well done. It just gets in the feels every time. But there will be a moment, and I think we're teetering on it, but we will reach a moment where it will start to feel a little cheap. Having to show this video over and over. I mean, because we've seen it on SmackDown, We even saw it on NXT. Or was it 205 Live? Or both last week? You know what I didn't talk about, though? Wait a second. Haven't talked about Evolution. I just want to throw in a few thoughts because the Raw show is a big one, so there's always a lot of time. But I do want to throw in a few tops. Sorry, folks. Just forgot to say, how fantastic Evolution was, and I think everyone is pretty much in agreement. It was a great show. I thought it felt like a takeover. The way it was produced, the way the things were laid out, the actual steel barricades as opposed to the big foamy things that they usually have. Everything was super fun in the production, and I thought the ladies, as I discussed over on my prediction show that I did with my good pal Harmony, our hope at the end was, despite the lack of hype, despite the lack of visible interest from WWE management, that the ladies would go out and just nail it, like just tear everything down, and they did. Charlotte and Becky is a match for the ages. This is legendary levels. What they did on Sunday evening. I love the match, and as much as I love that match, and I said to myself I'd sleep on it, and I still have trouble getting Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane out of my mind. That was a phenomenal match in its own right. We had such great matches back to back. And you know what? This is the last thing I want to point out. I called the 4 horsewomen, or at least 3 of the 4 horsewomen of UFC getting involved in Shayna's match. I called it on my prediction show. I called it. I must be some kind of genie that doesn't live in a bottle, that lives in your hopes and dreams. And I was glad. I'm really, really glad they're pulling the trigger on Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. I think they're going to be phenomenal, and if they do, and like I said on my prediction show, this is what I'm really, really looking forward to, and I hope they address this quickly on NXT. Although I think we're still in the same taping cycle, but I really want Shayna Baszler to lead a undisputed era for the women's division. That would be phenomenal. Shayna Baszler, by the way, first 2-time NXT Women's Champion. Very happy about that. I was also surprised to see Toni Storm win the Mae Young Classic Finals. Not because I don't like her, I love her, but I really felt Io Shirai, who was probably much more of a stranger to most of the WWE universe, I felt she needed the win most to put her over, to make her look the part, just to help push her forward. Because I really thought, especially when you go and take a look at some matches that are available out there of hers, I felt she was holding it back throughout the Mae Young Classic. She was fine. She was good. Not that she didn't have any bad performances, but I kind of felt that she was holding it back, getting used to WWE style, the ring, so on and so forth. Sure. But I really felt that this was her moment to shine, that she was going to go over, because Toni Storm is over regardless where she goes. She's bulletproof, literally bulletproof right now. She could take the loss, not a problem. She'd bounce back like that. But we'll see. I'm far from discounting Io Shirai's involvement in WWE. It was such a high profile signing. They definitely have big things. I think I may have lost the stream there for a second. Is everything okay? I think we're back. Yeah, I think we're back. I'm actually looking forward to Candice LeRae now challenging Shayna Baszler. That's a match I want to see. That's a match I really, really want to see. And I hope we get to see it soon. All right. So those were my thoughts on Evolution. What a fantastic show. If you haven't watched it, go out of your way to see it. All right. So Let's start going over Monday Night Raw. So I was talking about the Roman package. That was great. Then Baron Corbin, who's holding the WWE vacant vacant WWE Universal title, says last week was one of the most emotional nights of his career. He says that last week, Corbin says that that was last week, and life moves on now. And he's obviously using Roman's announcement to get some heat, which is fine. He says he respects Reigns personally, but professionally, he hopes Roman doesn't come back to Raw, get some more boos. I saw people on Twitter going, "Oh, too soon, too soon." You know what? This is the business. This is the wrestling business, and I am convinced there's one guy who is absolutely fine with creative using this as a catalyst to generate heat, generate interest. It's Roman. Don't worry about it. Paul Heyman comes out with Brock Lesnar, and he gets a huge pop. Corbin tells the crowd to give it up for Lesnar. Not much of a problem there. Corbin hypes up the match between Brock and Braun Strowman at WWE Crown Jewel. But then Heyman takes over, telling him to stop talking so he can do his own thing. Does the advocate shtick, and basically says that Lesnar is going to beat Braun. That's not a prediction; it's a spoiler. It's a guarantee. Heyman says he couldn't be more right about this match if it was predetermined, which I thought was pretty funny. I thought that was that one was for us. When I say us, as us little smarky smarks. Braun Strowman comes out to another huge pop as well. He does his catchphrases that get a big reaction as well. Strowman and Lesnar, they stare at each other. Strowman drops the mic. Strowman pushes Corbin out of the way to stare Lesnar down, but Corbin sort of comes in and, it's like, I don't want any fights, but that's it. And he shoves Corbin away. Corbin comes in to attack Strowman from behind, but Strowman power slams him not once, but twice. The fans chant one more time, and Strowman the fans go for one more time, and actually Brock is inviting him to do it, and as Strowman does the third power slam, he turns around and Lesnar F5s him onto the mat. Lesnar stands tall over Braun Strowman with the title as his music hits. So that's what happened to open up the show. Next we have we go to the ring, and next we have Finn Balor, right, against Bobbert Lashley, accompanied by Lio Rush. We have Lashley ramming Balor into the corner. Lashley rams Balor into a couple of corners, actually. Lashley is in control while Rush keeps running his mouth, doing this man smells like money, tastes like money. No, he doesn't taste, but he looks like money. He smells like money. We haven't gone down all of the I think we're back. I'm having some stream issues tonight. I think that the internet in Canada is having some trouble, but we're back, folks, and that's what's most important. Look, let's just get to the stuff here, because it was a very ordinary match. Even though the crowd was really, really hot for it, I felt that the audience, besides, was really hot for the first hour of the show, but then everything sort of started petering out as the evening went on. Finn is basically hitting all of his signature offense, the Tope con Hilo on the outside. He does all his stuff. We basically get to the end here, where Rush is chanting Lashley's name some more, and as Lashley looks to finish off Mr. Balor. Balor hits a sling blade and big shot in the corner. Rush distracts Balor from the floor. Balor goes up top for the coup de grace, but Rush shoves him. Balor manages to drop Lashley with a kick, ducking a shot, but Balor goes to the top for another coup de grace. Rush stops it again, and the referee calls the match, brings the DQ hammer down. Finn Balor wins by disqualification. And after the match, basically, Lio Rush is having Bobby Lashley hold on to him and is slapping him around like hard. Those were some hard slaps. Now, okay, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, I really think Lio Rush needs to mix up his vocal additions, I guess you'd say, to his WWE hype man, his Raw hype man situation. Because right now, as it stands, he just says the same things over and over and over again. It's getting a little old, a little repetitive, and he should be in a position where he should talk more smack. He should be able to run the other guy down instead of always talking about how Lashley's fantastic and how money he is. I think he should go right ahead and just start insulting the other guy. Jimmy Hart, Bobby Heenan, they talked a lot. They didn't always say the same things, and they stayed interesting and did their jobs. So I think that he really needs to move on because it's getting old very, very fast. And you know what? I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, or it might have been even last week I mentioned it. Why not have a Bobby Lashley, not a Bobby Lashley, but a Lio Rush versus Finn Balor match? That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Finally, Finn had stopped working with guys twice his size. We'd stop talking about David and Goliath matches. Oh, another David and Goliath situation we could move on, and just talk about how fantastic Finn is. Plus, it'd be a great showcase for Lio. Because as you know, he does wrestle on 205 Live, but most of WWE fans don't watch 205 Live. Millions of people watch Raw. They'd be introduced to him here. That'd be great. Back from commercial, and we see Bobby Lashley walking backstage with Lio Rush. Baron Corbin comes in, wants to see them, and Corbin gives them some nice support for what they just did to Finn Balor. Corbin says Lashley is one of the best in the world, and he will have a chance to prove it. Corbin says Lashley has officially qualified for the World Cup tournament at Crown Jewel on Friday. Lashley says, well, who am I going to be replacing? And Baron says, well, you're going to be replacing someone who did not qualify, and that's John Cena. Quick thoughts here? Why not? That's what I'm here for. Couple of quick thoughts. First of all, great, fantastic way to work it into a proper storyline here. The fact that John Cena is not going to Saudi Arabia, I think this was the most logical and perfect way to do it. Keeps establishing the fact that Baron Corbin is a jerk, so that's fine. Man, much props to John Cena for sticking to his guns, deciding not to go. You gotta admit that kind of takes balls to do in this context, and I appreciate it. Really, really, really interesting the way that they decided to do this. What's up, Timothy? How you doing? Timothy in the chat says, "Wonder how they'll write off Bryan." I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure what you mean. I don't think Daniel Bryan is off Crown Jewel. I think he didn't want to go. But as far as tonight, they were still announcing AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan at Crown Jewel, so I don't think it's happening. Next, we have a match. Trish Stratus, Lita, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Natalya versus the Riot Squad, Mickie James and Alicia Fox. Go to the ring, and the Hall of Famers are in there as well. Natalya joins them on stage. Sasha Banks comes out, followed by Bayley. They all head to the ring, and everyone's so happy and super, super fun. Back from the break, we see Alicia Fox and Mickie James with Alexa Bliss on stage. The Riot Squad is out next. Morgan, Logan, and Riot. Trish starts off with Logan, and they go at it. Trish gets the upper hand, and in comes Little Ms. Morgan. Lita jumps off Trish's back and hits the clothesline to Liv in the corner, doing the Team Extreme stuff again that they did on Sunday evening. Lita keeps in control of Liv and drops her with the DDT for a 2 count. The Riot Squad tries to make the save, but Bayley and Banks are there to take them down on the outside. Back from commercial, and Alicia Fox is getting double teamed by Banks and Bayley. Trish tags in to double team Fox with Sasha. Trish covers, only gets 2. Fox ends up battling back, turns it around, and turns it around on Sasha. Thanks to some interference by Mickie James. Fox gets a 2 count on Banks. Mickie tags in. She keeps Sasha grounded, and Sasha is your baby face in peril for the better part of the match. We're going to head on over to the end here. Lita goes to the top and hits the Lita Salt onto Liv Morgan for a big pop. Fox grabs Lita, but Lita counters, and Natalya follows up with the heart attack. Natalya gets a 2 count on Alicia Fox, but she applies the sharpshooter in the middle of the ring. Foxy taps out. Your winners, Natalya, Lita, Trish Stratus, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. I thought it was a good way for everyone to sort of just work together, all these ladies from last night. I think that was really, really cool. It was a completely inoffensive match. Good to see Trish and Lita again doing it. So this was, it just worked fine. It worked perfectly fine. There we go. Backstage, let's see here. Just going through my notes. Backstage, we have Nia Jax, who Jax says she's planning on challenging Ronda Rousey. Rousey says, but Jax says that Ronda Rousey has Becky Lynch at Survivor Series. That's sort of a, whoa, okay. But, they were trading barbs back and forth on social media, so that's really interesting. Ember Moon comes in. She talks about going at it with Nia Jax in the Battle Royal. Ember says that she had lightning in a bottle last night, but Jax interrupts her and gives Moon props, but says, you should be telling the interviewer, you should be talking more about me, about what I'm going to do to Ronda, There's a bit of exchange of words between the two former friends. Should we go that far to say? And Ember ends up challenging Nia to a match for later on the evening, and yeah, there you go. That's that's what we'll do. That's what we're setting up for here. Next, we have an Elias segment who's in the ring. This is the first time we actually get to see babyface Elias since his big, fantastic turn last week. He says they're in Charlotte, right? He says that he got in town, went to see Ric Flair. He tells a story that Flair really wanted to see him. He's happy about what he did to Baron Corbin, and basically replays the guitar shot. He says he'd like to find Baron Corbin backstage because he'd have a little song for him. So he goes off and he finds him. walks up to his dressing room, knocks on the door. Corbin doesn't leave him in, so he starts to play for him on the outside of his door. He calls him a taller, stupider version of Kurt. He said, "You used to be the lone wolf. Your career, what was it? It was like your career is now in a ditch. You used to be the lone wolf. Now you're Stephanie McMahon's." And Corbin just bursts out of the room. Then they exchange some words, but this all ends with Elias being attacked by former WWE champion Jinder Mahal, who attacks him from behind. Elias is hurt. When they go into the ring, because when we come back from commercial and the guys are in the ring, they're ready to fight. Elias is hurt. You know, he's been attacked on the side. You know, nothing says babyface like fighting through the pain, right? That's the most babyface of all the babyface things you could be babyfacing. So basically, Elias is working through the pain, trying to power through as Mahal uses some power moves, stomps him. The Singh Bros running some interference on the outside. Mahal is putting the stretches to Elias. A waist lock, for fuck's sake. Lots of rest holds here, folks. Elias does battles back. He does like a draping drop kick, I guess. He puts his hands on the top rope and he jumps up like in a horizontal position where his feet land on Jinder's shoulders and props himself up, and then boop, just boop, drop kicks Elias. Does a combination of quick strikes. Elias wins with the drift away a little bit out of nowhere. Crowd was into it. I think the audience is going to buy Elias, babyface Elias, very, very easily. And I think that this was a good time for him to have him switch over to the babyface side. And I think it's going to do wonders for him. Get him over even more so than he is right now. However, I do believe that Elias is going to have to modify his in-ring style substantially, especially after what we saw tonight, because he doesn't have right now. He's still wrestling as a heel. He's going to need some explosive offense if he's going to want to work the babyface style. He's going to have to get things that are a little more impressive, a little more boom, and a little more or something. But otherwise, this was an absolute nothing match. Speaking of absolute nothing matches, before that we get a recap of Kurt Angle's career. I'm like, man, they only did so much. A quarter of the promotion they're doing for Crown Jewel, they had done that for Evolution, man. I kind of feel, well, I mean, Evolution wasn't a failure, but I still would have liked them to promote it more. I like your personality too, Tim. So speaking of nothing matches, throwaway matches, Chad Gable and Bobby Roode versus the Ascension versus AOP in a triple threat tag match off the heels of AOP devouring everyone. Was it last week or the week before? Anyway, both split up, and both teams split up on either side, and they each take out Rezar and Akam on either side of the ring. And then they go back into the ring and go after each other. We're back from commercial, and AOP are back in the ring, and I'm like, what was the point in taking them out? If we just like run back into the ring and AOP are there, we come back and AOP are there, and they're like, yeah, no problem. But I get it at the same time. That's AOP's gimmick, to be these like invincible tanks. But we didn't even get to see any action just between Gable and Rude and the Ascension without AOP, with AOP lying out on the ground. We didn't get to see any of it. Just come back in and the guys are there. Connor flattens Gable. Why am I even talking about it? Look, it ends with Rude and Gable doing a, I think this was meant to be their new double team finisher, doing with Gable doing his German suplex with Rude following into a neck breaker as he's flipping, I think it was Victor over. But Rude sort of whiffed it. He wasn't there, or he didn't whiff it. His timing was off. Anyway, they got the pin for the win. That was kind of out of nowhere. This is a sneeze and you'll miss it match. But the good thing is that AOP then came in and destroyed everyone. So this would be one of the first matches that we see tonight where they're setting the stage for a tag division on Raw. Something that is far overdue. But I'll talk about this in a little while. Tim in the chat says, Timothy says, Gable and Rude make 0 sense or sense, as in, but like rubbing 2 coins together would make more of a metallic sound than... No, I don't have anything. Do I have anything metallic to sort of simulate the sound? I don't. Anyway, but no, it does. Like honestly, at this point, I thought that they'd be done with Rude and Gable. Like I really thought that this would be something. This feud would just end up with Bobby Roode doing that much needed heel turning on Gable because Gable is too much of a fanboy. I thought we'd be done by now. But not, apparently. They're going to keep him around. JPQ says tag division because the titles will be relinquished. I think they haven't done it. They haven't announced that the titles haven't been relinquished yet, but Seth didn't come out with his tag title tonight. He only came out with the Intercontinental title. So they're probably just going to let this one slide. Probably wait till next week, have Crown Jewel go by, and because there's already a title that's been relinquished that has to be settled. You wouldn't want to overload your audience with too much information at once, right? Ha ha. But I think they are setting up the tag division now to. Because they are going to make an announcement that Dean and Seth won't be able to defend the titles, so tag team tournament or a gauntlet match. A gauntlet match would be something, but they're probably going to do something at Survivor Series. Anyway, we'll see. They did a segment where some kids from the Children's Health Dallas Hospital said some encouraging words to Roman Reigns, and God damn it, made me cry. There's Roman chants coming in from everywhere. And you had Michael Cole and Renee and Graves who were all there, just standing next to the Titantron to sort of talk about it. And the audience started chanting, "Thank you, Roman, louder and louder and louder. Michael Cole started talking but then at some point he's like, nope, stop. And I'm willing to bet $10, 10 Canadian rubber bucks, that Vince McMahon got into his headset and said, "Shut the hell up. Let them cheer for Roman. You puke." Seth Rollins comes out. He thanks everyone for supporting Roman, for sending so many good thoughts, some great energy. That was very, very kind. He appreciates it. Thanks everyone on behalf of Roman. He says it's his 3rd time winning the WWE Tag Team Championships. But he can't celebrate because Dean turned his back on him. His back on the Shield, and he calls Dean out. He says, "Dean, get out of here." His music hits. but he's not there. Where could he be? His music is playing, but he's not coming out through the ramp. What a wacky lunatic kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who lives on the fringe of lunacy. What am I doing? But Dean does come out, and he comes out through the audience at the top. And Seth basically calls it. He looks up and he says he calls it he says he's mocking the Shield. That's what he's saying. He says it's better than the words I'm trying to use. Maybe I'm thirsty. Seth says, at least when I like this. He says, at least when I stabbed you in the back, I had the decency to tell you why to your face. And Dean has a mic and he's not saying nothing. He's sneering. All he does is he stands there with the microphone and he sneers. Like this. Like literally the entire promo, he's like this. And I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious because he wasn't moving. It was just Sneerin Dean Ambrose. My God, if these were the territory days, that'd be such a fantastic name for a wrestler. Sneerin Dean Ambrose. Basically, Seth he tries to get Dean to explain himself, but he doesn't. He says, "You're a cold-hearted bastard. The most emotional night of all time of Shield history of WWE, and you made it all about you. You managed to make it all about you, Dean. Sneerin Dean." Well, Seth decides to go after Sneerin Dean, but Sneerin Dean sneers away. It's a little anticlimactic. A lot of people on my timeline really, really liked this segment. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just thought it ended a little wet, like a bit of a wet bag. It was like it just, when you take, let's say you were to take a brown paper bag, crumple it up a bit, put some, drench it in water, and you just drop it. That sound that it'd make. That's kind of how it finished. I mean, the promos were fine. Seth's promo was fine, and it made sense for Dean to be the lunatic fringe and not say anything. And they're building to something, I understand it all. I just thought it felt a little flat at the end. There wasn't a... This goes into... If you don't mind the segue, this goes into my usual gripe, typical gripe, that I have about WWE storytelling, where we have the impression that they're telling stories and that week after week, they're advancing stories, but they're not. When you tell a story, an episodic story, you usually go from point A to point B to point C to point D, and so on and so forth, week after week. But WWE are masters of giving us the impression that we're going from point A to point B, when in fact we're just going from point A to point A, point A to point A, point A to point A, then point A to point B, and then point B to point, then point A to point B again, point A to point B, point A to point B. It always sort of keeps going like that. So the story didn't advance this week. We're exactly at the same spot that we were last week. Why, Dean, why? Seth came out. He did his thing. He was angry, mad. Dean came out. He sneered. But that's pretty much all they did. It's not the first time we see this type of storytelling from ye old creative team. Won't be the last. I mean, I get that this has the hallmarks of an extended feud. They don't want to rush into it, but there are ways to tell a compelling story without rushing into execution, without rushing into blow-offs or denouements. You can extend, stretch out stories before reaching the end by just making them compelling in the meantime. WWE has trouble doing that. We have the impression that storylines go ahead, but they don't. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. We're going to go through this a little quickly because I want to try and keep this around the hour mark. Nia Jax versus Ember Moon is our next match. Ember comes in strong. She goes for an eclipse early on, and that's not Ember style. Nia picks her up off the top rope and has her in a Samoan drop, but Ember wriggles out of that. Jax knacks her down. Jax knacks her down. And then she goes for a bear hug. Ah! I loathe bear hugs in 2018. They're stupid. However, at least it didn't go into like an extended period of a bear hug. Ember at least used wrestler psychology, logic to get out of the bear hug quickly, trying to battle out of it, and then she finally claps like either side of Nia's ears. Thank God I hate bear hugs. I really, really do. Nia charges the post. Nia charges into the post, I should say. She rolls to the outside. Second rope cannonball by Ember Moon to the outside from the second rope to the outside. That was awesome. And Tamina interrupts, actually distracts both competitors, and Nia Jax takes the advantage and elbows Ember down, does the atomic leg drop for the pin and the win, and it ends with a face-to-face with Tamina, who walks off. I guess we're going to be having Tamina hanging around there before we actually get Rousey versus Jax 2, I want to say. Lucha House. Thank you, by the way, JPQ, for saying that I do a good Dean Ambrose impression. I do. I really do. Next we have 205 Live's own Lucha House Party coming in, announced, having a match versus the Revival, who get a jobber's entrance. They're already in the ring. God damn it. I really want to know at this point, who did the Revival hurt backstage? Scott Dawson, whose heart did you break for you guys to be in such a shitty position? It makes zero sense. Now, again, this is to throw back to what I was saying earlier about, establishing tag teams for a refreshed Raw tag team division. Well, we have it right here, bringing in the Lucha guys from 205 Live. Obviously, this is what they want. They want to repopulate Raw with some fresh tag teams, with any tag teams, actually. I love Lucha House Party on 205 Live. I don't want them to become staples on Raw. I'm okay with them getting more airtime, working more, but I want them to stay on 205 Live because there's still too many matches to be had backstage. Not backstage, but over on the cruiserweight side. Dash starts against Kalisto, who does most of the heavy lifting during the match, I should say, Kalisto. Then Lindsay dives to the outside very quickly, and he hits the barricade hard. His dive had a little oomph, a little extra oomph. Probably was a little excited to be on Raw. Back in the ring, Dash takes Kalisto down. Scott Dawson hits a nice snap suplex on Kalisto, goes right into a quick elbow. Very, very crisp, very sharp. God damn, Scott Dawson is good. And Kalisto is your babyface in peril for most of the match. Dawson hits a gory special on Kalisto, which I thought was pretty funny. And the way Dawson was actually smiling about doing it, I thought that was really funny because it's very much a lucha move. We come to the end, though, very, very quickly. Kalisto hits the Salina del Sol out of nowhere, as Lindsay then cross bodies from the top rope onto Wilder. Dawson gets pinned for the win. There you go. Lucha House Party win their debut match on Monday Night Raw. Interesting to see where this is going to go. We have Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre who go into the ring to cut promos. Drew says he's looking forward to who's going to win the Universal title at Crown Jewel. Tastes like Braun versus Drew. Not much aftertaste on that. Dolph says it doesn't make sense that Kurt Angle's in the tournament, but he does put Kurt Angle over. He says without guys like Kurt Angle, guys like Dolph Ziggler wouldn't exist in WWE today. I'm Dolph Ziggler and you're not. I'm going to cement my legacy when I win the World Cup and become the best in the world by the WWE World Cup by being the best in the World Cup of the world. Dolph has a match against Apollo Crews. I guess the dreams that we had of Apollo Crews' singles push are slowly floating down the drain. Crews hits an enziguri on Dolph. By the way, you know what? Every time Michael Cole calls an enziguri a step-up enziguri, take a drink. God damn. Some kicks to the head by Apollo Crews, who gets Dolph on his back, covers him, but Dolph kicks out at 2. Eventually, Dolph starts taunting Apollo, but he ends up getting gorilla pressed over Apollo's head, and who holds Dolph over his head for quite some time before dropping him smack on his face. Standing moonsault cover only gets 2. We get some top rope shenanigans. That ends up with Crews going for this frog splash on Dolph, who lifts his knees up. Super kick to the jaw. Dolph covers, gets a pin, heading into Crown Jewel. For the record, I'll wait for this. Next, and then we have a main event segment. Welcome back to the Attitude Era, folks. Full blown here, not ending with the match, ending with some mic time. We get a chilling message from the Brothers of Destruction, where Kane and the Undertaker take 17 million hours to get to the ring. It's not easy to fight him, but when the Reaper calls, says Undertaker, it's your time to go. The Bros will take the beaten souls of DX to the fiery gates of hell. And then my line of the night here, Undertaker saying, it won't be swift, it will be slow and agonizing pain. And I'm like, no kidding. What? Is this like self-referential? Is this like self-depreciating here? So that, my God, there is something very telling about this. Anyway, they end up calling out Diaz. This is Friday, but tonight, we want to fight tonight. And Triple H comes out to the DX song, but he comes out alone. And it's like, oh, where's Shawn? Where could Shawn be? Where's Shawn? Shawn, where could he be? Shawn basically suckers Undertaker by coming in through the audience and super kicks him right in the chin. And let's be frank, that was a beautiful super kick. That was really, really nice. Nice super kick by your boy Shawn Michaels. So that's how the evening ended. Heading into Crown Jewel. For the record, folks, I am not going to be covering Crown Jewel at all. No prediction show, no post show, no nothing. This is, and yes, it is my little personal way of showing my displeasure towards the event happening in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to leave it at that. Not getting into a big political spiel here, but yes, I do believe that it's a little lack of understanding a little lack of sympathy. WWE had the opportunity to do the right thing here. But hey, you know what? I'm glad to hear that you guys over at Armbar Audio are not going to be covering it either. Yeah, you know, there's plenty of other stuff to watch. There's going to be Power Struggle, New Japan Power Struggle this weekend. That's something I'm looking forward to. We'll have a chance to talk about it again. But right now, folks, we're going to wrap this one up. And we're going to wrap it up. Nice paper, put a thoughtful greeting card on top, and we're going to leave it out there on the internet for everyone to come unwrap and find all the wonders of my Raw recap that is donezo for tonight. It was a middling show. There was some good stuff, some bad. Overall, I liked it. It wasn't a bad show. We've seen worse Raws than this recently. This was fine. It was fine. I really liked the first hour or so. Seems to me the rest sort of started petering out, got exhausted, long in the tooth, as they say. You kind of feel they want to get out of the Crown Jewel situation and move on to greater things. And I'm looking forward to some proper Survivor Series hype. Guys, I want to say thank you very much for everyone who joined us tonight in the chat. Hope you guys come back tomorrow after SmackDown Live, where I will be joined by Wilfred from the Wilfred Watches podcast, who never watches WWE. He's going to come review SmackDown with me. He's making an exception. He's breaking his own rule to come join me tomorrow. So that'll be exciting. Guys, if you liked what you saw, hey, you know the deal. Like, share, subscribe, put this out there. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you next time.